of Christine and I. We've been friends in probably, how did we term, about 6 or 7 years.
Yeah,
we were leading a women's group. We were both managing directors of eWomen Network, which is an awesome group, and there's tons of other awesome groups out there we'd be glad to tell you about. But we met each other, and we've just kind of stayed in contact, and we were looking for a way to work together. And probably 2 years ago, we're like, there's so much networking out there, but what do we do? How can we give the tools to people to go beyond the passing of the cards, right? And we had this great idea, and we were going to launch it, and we were going to actually have chapters around the country and everything. And we still have a plan to do that. But when COVID happened, we're like, oh my gosh, let's just start this thing. And so right now it's currently this show where we're highlighting other awesome women that we know and some good, maybe a few good men. I mean, we're not anti-male by any stretch of the means. We just happen to know a lot more women. And so right now it's a show. We have an awesome group on Facebook. It's at Tru Networking. We purposely called it TRU, so you should be able to find it. The group is growing. We're going to be putting resources in there. People are doing some networking offline. That's where we are today in Tru Networking. We have some really big plans for what it's going to be down the way, but right now we just want to build community and get people aware of what we're doing. But we are looking forward to having some small group cohorts, maybe chapters, some masterminds, a little bit beyond just, giving your 30-second, right? So that's where we are today with Tru Networking. And today we have an awesome lineup for you. We have Kathryn Woods, Deborah Fawaz, Jennifer Phelps. So the 5 of us are going to have a kind of the business view kind of chat about, I think, a very timely topic. We're going to be talking about kind of how you show up on these internet kind of events, mostly from the networking perspective, but just in general, it's just a different world. I mean, if we look back, any of us, I don't think anybody would say if we would have been the day before Thanksgiving, which happy Thanksgiving to everyone, the day before Thanksgiving, we would be doing what we have been doing for 2020. I mean, no one could have seen this coming, right? I mean, as a 30-year entrepreneur, almost 30 years, I've never seen such a thing. I mean, of course we had the tech bubble. Of course we had 2008, but this was totally unforeseen. So that's what we'd like to do today, is talk about, what is the new normal as far as how we're showing up for networking and online. Christine, you want to
Absolutely. So ladies, what we're going to do before we go into the questions and answers is we want to do our 60-second elevator pitch. And I know you ladies know how to do that, right? Being in networking and networking with, everyone. So I am going to start with Kathryn. Kathryn, tell us who you are and give our listeners your 60-second elevator pitch.
Hello, I'm Kathryn Woods. I'm with Confident Communications, and I'm a speaking and voice coach. I have over 20 years experience as a speech pathologist, actually 25 this year. And I combine that with my background as a recovered shy person. I was a painfully shy child, and so I really have a passion for helping people communicate confidently and effectively, whether virtually or in person, and how you use your voice and your speaking patterns to show up with authority and charisma.
Love it, love it, love it. I could never imagine you being shy after speaking to you earlier.
We've all
I'm really shy.
Yeah,
I pull myself out of it one little bit at a time. That's been my journey.
Awesome. Deborah Fawaz.
Yes, I am the founder and CEO of DD Faces, which is a concierge level image company. And business people hire me to make them look and feel fabulous, because many might blend in, lack a memorable style, and you might be losing money because of it. So I help them reveal their bold, brilliant personal style that makes a lasting statement. Bottom line, we create the magic together. Your confidence soars and success follows.
Love it. Love it. Jennifer.
Hi there. Jennifer Phelps, and I'm the CEO and proprietress of Jennifer Phelps, Organize, Design, Reinvent. And I want to talk to all of those women out there in particular who are living in clutter, chaos, or just soul-sucking bluff that just brings them down, costs them money at work, and makes them feel terrible. when they walk in the door instead of feeling happy when they walk in the door or productive in their office. So one of my programs is that I'm focusing on right now in today's special is the Zoom Room Redo, because you only have one chance to make, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And that's what we're talking about today. And your environment is a big public window on your private life. And I'm here to make that a fantastic place where you can feel comfortable, confident, and get your message through loud and clear and feel good and confident doing it.
I love it.
Creating environments where women thrive from the inside out.
I love
Awesome.
it.
I
And
love that.
yes, even though we are the host of Tru Networking, we still have our own business. So Deborah, your 60-second elevator speech.
Sure. Well, for those of you that don't know me, I am a almost 30-year entrepreneur. My main business that I've had throughout my life of serial entrepreneurship is a CPA firm, and I am a money expert. So anything that helps people make more money, keep more money, and grow more money is in my wheelhouse, because I do feel like the absolute best way to build wealth, impact, and a legacy is through your business. And so if you're not seeing enough money to either even pay your bills, forget it, they're already in bad trouble, but actually extra money so that you can have that impact in your community and in your family's lives and build a legacy, then there's a disconnect somewhere in there. And so that's everything in the life cycle of money, because I really do believe that good people making good money do good things, and especially women.
Absolutely. And mine is Every Girl Wins. Every Girl Wins is an initiative mission that I started several years ago. But like Deborah, I've been in business for over 25 years. And what Every Girl Wins does is we help women, as a women's life literacy expert as myself, we help women redirect their lives and rewrite the definition of their lives through our life literacy program. So if you're, that's what we do, and with the personal development and personal training. So if you're interested, everygirlwins.com, and also the founder of International Every Girl Wednesday, where we actually stand for females around the world for education, life literacy, entrepreneurship, life literacy, healthcare, life literacy, and economic life literacy.
Awesome. Well, ladies, now it's time to get into the meat of today's show. So I think let's just open it up with what you feel from your area of expertise is the biggest thing that people need to know about showing up online. And so, Kathryn, why don't you go first? We called you first before. Are you okay with being first again?
I'm fine with being first again.
Okay, good.
Who's a shy girl?
Say that again, Christine?
I said, you're the shy girl.
I don't think there's a shy girl amongst us.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, tell us from your perspective, Kathryn, how important this whole shift in that. I mean, one, it's important what you do anyway in live, but how has that been impacted positively or negatively, really, or just in general in the new virtual world?
Well, when we are virtual and we don't have that in-person physical chemistry and energy exchange that happens, that helps us, find our people and kind of bond with
Connect,
people,
yeah.
then how we sound is more important than ever. So it's important that you sound charismatic, that you not sound monotone, that you have a good quality audio setup. It's really important, because how you show up is how you show up. And that's true for how you sound as well as visually speaking. So really conveying your energy, your charisma, your confidence in your arena, so that when you speak, people see you as the authority you are. Many times, I think, especially women, we have a real expertise in our area, but we don't claim it with our voice when we speak. And that's so important, because if we don't sound like we know what we're talking about, people won't believe we know what we're talking about. And best kept secret. And many times this shows up like I'm really the best qualified person in my group to help someone with X, but they keep hiring someone else who doesn't have as much experience and charges more, and they don't understand why.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Wow,
but it can really play to your authority.
Exactly. And it's coming through in your verbal communication. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, so, I mean, and I've got some other, I would just say too, are you finding, just to piggyback on that, I know I actually texted Kathryn over the weekend because I've been speaking so much virtually and on so many shows that my voice was feeling hoarse. It didn't hurt or anything, but I was like, I feel like I'm forcing the words out. And she had some great tips and tricks on her Facebook to tell me what to do to help my throat feel a little bit better. It's not just how you sound, it's how you feel doing it too, right? Awesome. Well, Deborah,
you want to feel good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because that comes through too. I mean, you can't show up like this if you're kind of like tired or not feeling good or your throat isn't, feeling right. So, Deborah,
That's
from exactly. I'm sorry, Kathryn. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. That's exactly what can happen is when our voice starts to sound fatigued and feel fatigued, we can sound more boring or not engaged. And it may not be true, but if you don't sound engaged, your listeners won't be engaged either. And so a tired, fatigued voice can do that for you, unfortunately.
Right. Love it. Well, so Deborah, piggybacking on what she has said and how things have changed in the virtual world, what do you see as really kind of from your observations and area of expertise? What do you having most people they need to know and or that they're coming to you for?
Well, there's a lot to know because nobody taught us this. Unless you've been in corporate America and you've been doing virtual meetings, across the world, nobody really taught you the etiquette, the format. They didn't teach you about lighting and background and camera angle and makeup and, all of that. So to piggyback on what Kathryn said, I've been talking with people about the fact that we're just two-dimensional now. Like what Kathryn said, we're deprived of our senses. I can't hug you and feel the texture of your jacket. I can't smell your shampoo or your cologne, which, by the way, I do put cologne on for an online meeting. The only thing I don't put on is heels.
Sometimes, thank God.
Right? So who cares?
One benefit of COVID, we're not wearing heels as much.
But the whole cologne thing, it's just part of a mindset of coming professional and business ready to your meeting. And I know it was a big joke about yoga pants and all that in March, but honestly, it does affect your mindset if you're only half ready. And then that's how people receive you and perceive you. So because we're only two-dimensional, your voice is super important because people can only hear you and see you. And so all the other things we're going to talk about today about how your little Brady Bunch square looks, no matter what platform you're on, is related to that. Jennifer's going to talk to us about first impressions. I mean, when it pops up there, it pops up there, and you cannot take it back.
Yeah.
Well, Deborah, tell me a little bit as far as makeup. I know we talked a little bit. I mean, should we be like our natural, like we would go out into a networking, or because it's kind of on camera, should we be a little bit darker? Or what do you think for as far as tips on how we should do our makeup?
So it's very specific to A, your lighting, and B, your camera. And every laptop, every auxiliary camera is different. The lighting is different. But you can practice this. So have a Zoom call with yourself or get on Facebook Live and click Create Facebook Live, but don't go live. And you will then see right here, like we're looking at, oh, I'm a little pale. Oh, I'm a little washed out. Oh, my outfit matches the background, and now I look like a talking head. So I really encourage people to make sure they have eyebrows, lips, and cheekbones. Good job, girls. You all passed the test.
Deborah, I have another quick question about the lighting. And I have the round lights, whatever you call it.
Right.
Yes.
Circle ring lights.
Those lights. Does it matter what type of lights you have for it?
Absolutely. Now, some lights are adjustable and you can make them more yellow or more pink. I really
Yeah.
like those lights because depending on the
Demonstrate.
paint
I'm
color. and the
demonstrating as she talks.
Oh, yeah,
Demonstrating.
there. Watch Jennifer. Yep.
I'm in an emergency room right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. She's just flipping the different colors. That's
Yeah.
huge. It's huge how you show up with those different tones of the light.
And
Yeah, I've got one that changes it around too.
How close
Yeah, see,
the light is too. Some people get them a little too close, so it's like really shining on their face. They look like neon glow. You're too dark now, Deborah.
I know. Well, I know. I'm trying to turn it back. I don't know what I did. I turned it off somehow. Let me see if I can. Oh, there we go. But this big yellow. I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of it.
Yeah, so the lighting itself, the ring lights is what most people I think do use. So I have them, but it's just a regular house light. Is that okay?
Usually it's not enough, Christine.
Okay.
A regular house light is usually not enough. Then we have to deal with the natural light coming through the window.
Yes.
As the sun moves throughout the day, that's going to change the dynamics in your space. Most people didn't have a dedicated space in their home to do this type of studio stuff, right? So I have clients hiding out in closets, draping the shower wall with a piece of fabric as a background, stuff like that. It's been really challenging.
Wow. Yes, very
There's
much.
little lights like this too that you can clip on your computer. Or what I like about this is it's portable. So if you are going to be somewhere else, or maybe you're just traveling for the holidays in your in-laws closet or something, you can take it with you.
Feeling the need to give a live while you're in your in-laws closet. Awesome. Well, so that's been some great information. So Jennifer, piggybacking on that, talk to us about your zone of genius, which is really the whole space, which I know I would not pass what you're saying today, but that's okay.
No, Deborah, everybody's okay. We just get to maybe enhance how you show up, match the quality, integrity, and professionalism and personality that you have. Right?
Great.
So really that's the thing. I mean, I love everything that we're talking about because we're talking about, how we look specifically and trying to find a space for us to do this work. And people forget. I mean, I see all over the place, get this camera, get this light, buy this kit. Well, if you still have a junkola space behind you, or you're the gremlin, the gremlins, you only see their the dark head, and then you see the ceiling fan and stuff. And I feel like it's important, and it's often a blind spot, and we often feel helpless to manage to find a space or to manage what shows up behind us, because that is as important, because this is a visual platform. So if people show up who are the most qualified, maybe not the most expensive, but they don't look like you would want to hand them your project or your account, because what is that? Are they going to lose my file? I mean, if we're talking just clutter, for example, or when we're in our homes, or even our home offices, it's a very public window on your private life, even if it's in your office, because we have not all been prepared to have people in our office.
Yeah, this is my office, exactly. And
or if we're not even going.
I think people need to have a dedicated space, because that's my problem. Is I'm moving my laptop around, or sometimes I'm putting it on my desktop and I'm moving my camera around. I mean, I was saying to my assistant before we had this show, I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had a spot that I just sat down for these calls. I'm like putting myself together. I've got my mic, I've got my light, I've got my camera. I mean, I'm putting it together like every day in a different part of the office. I'm like, this is crazy.
Right. I think part of that is the idea that, like Deborah was talking about, Deborah Fawaz is talking about the lighting, because I love natural lighting, but if we are chasing the natural light and we are dragging our computers on everyone, I see this, just go through your house with your camera and find the best light and set up there. But your laundry room is behind you. I mean, that's not really for a lot of people. It's just not. So I feel like it's really important to have a space you go where you completely control the lighting no matter what time of day it is. It can be a tiny corner.
Yeah.
It really can be a tiny space that you manage. And for me, that's really important because when we go to a meeting, it's basically we want to think of our space as an extension of our face and our clothing because this is us, right? We want to, I talk about your space being clear, branded, and authentically you. So you want to clear the space because all that clutter or all of that, what the heck is that behind them? Or that's so boring, but they're so exciting. You know, that is, that's distracting from the message that you're trying to say. And you can sound, frankly, you can sound really good, but if people are sitting there looking back, I'm not trying to diminish anything, but the psychology of the Zoom is people are looking.
Right. Well, so Jennifer, I noticed on your,
and there is always something you can do, but the branding is a piece that I include so that you feel people see a whole sense of you.
Well, I noticed in your little square, you're a little tighter than like mine seems to have a little. Is that just your camera? I mean,
that's this setup.
Okay. So you've got it set up so that it's tight.
Because you can do it so that you can kind of. I tell people tighten your space so that you have more control over the background. Because the farther you are from a wall, the more stuff you have to think about. And the whole space between you and that wall is studio space suddenly. If you can be in a space where you have a controlled environment behind you, it's so much better because then we can manage that little spot.
So what do you think of the virtual backgrounds? I mean, I've gotten a little lazy. I have a good one that does my logo on Zoom. I didn't know how to do that today. So I've gotten a little lazy with my background because I've been using the virtual background. What do you think of that?
Well, the first thing I say is I don't like them. And for a couple of reasons. One is people don't know how to use them. And they say it's going to be easier doing a virtual background, but they got to do a green screen. There's still stuff you have to do to make a virtual background work. Now, in my work, when I do a Zoom room background for people, redo their space, we create a virtual background from that, and that's great. But they still have to use a green screen, but it gives you more flexibility when you go travel or whatever and you can't find a good spot. The problem that I see most of the time is people like, oh, this is a pretty living room, or this is a pretty penthouse conference room. No one believes you're there.
Very true.
And that whole thing about how you feel is what you convey. So as a professional organizer who deals with the whole person, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. It seems like there's a little feedback on maybe somebody's mic.
I don't have anything on here, but everything's off. But I do have that, but I don't know why. I think it's my feed. But people need to believe you.
But doesn't it feel like a little bit that we too are having to become like technicians a little bit because this stuff happens all the time? Like, why is my sound not working? Why is my camera not working?
But I think that if we control and simplify, I think it's become so overwrought that if we can create just one spot that is right for us and control it, because here's the thing, how you feel is conveyed. If you have a virtual background because you're embarrassed about what is around you, that comes across because we have an emotional reaction to everything we see. And when we're looking behind us and we're not comfortable, and when we look at ourselves and we're not comfortable, that all conveys and chips away at our confidence and professionalism, right? But also in my world, what we're looking at in front of us is also conveyed because we're embarrassed about the rest of our home or our office. And that comes through also. And people only see it as you a little bit disingenuous because something's off. Right. And that can be construed as something they don't quite trust or something like that. It's very subliminal. And so my goal is to help you feel beautiful and wonderful in your space, have it reflect who you are, the quality of service.
Awesome. I really applaud anyone that could work at home. I mean, I'm in my office. We came throughout the whole of COVID because we do payroll for people. So we were kind of considered essential services. I guess I feel like I'm essential all the time, but I mean, we were considered an essential service for that. And
you're essential and you're essential.
Yeah, you're essential. But but I have a really hard time. I mean, like sometimes the evening kind of things, I'll bring my computer home, and I definitely don't have a setup there because I don't even have a home office because I'm at my office, all the time. And so really, it's like, gosh, do I have to have two places set up? But I applaud anybody that can work at home just because I'm always worried the dog's going to walk across or bark or, somebody's going to come walking in while I've got the mute off and, start yelling at me or something. Where's my dinner?
We cut each other a lot of slack. Which is nice. That's a cat going by or dog barking. No Zoom meeting is complete without some noise. And that's going to be okay because people know we work from home. But the point is that we want to show up intentionally as we would in person.
I would tell you, last week's guests were saying that they felt like that people were starting to raise the bar on what they expected.
They are.
The first kind of couple of months, we were kind of like, oh, this is all new and it's not going to be long, so we don't really have to worry about it. But we were kind of laughing when people were like, there goes my cat or whatever. But I mean, they're kind of almost like starting to be like, this is going on long enough. This is the way we do business now, and we need to act like we're doing business a little bit.
And it is. But the thing is also, we've been told forever that the future of business and communication is Facebook Lives, videos, showing up in this way. This isn't new, but I feel like COVID has been a crash course in helping us get our visual marketing in place.
Yes, absolutely. But Deborah, I want to take a moment.
Has opened up to professional women.
Yeah, Deborah, I want to take a moment and thank our listeners that.
Sure, and do we have any comments? I'd love to hear if we have any comments.
Yes, absolutely. And because I don't know who the Facebook users in the groups, when we put these in the groups, if you don't put on there, it's okay to put your name. It's not going to show up. So I just kind of pulled the group up. We actually have from Maria Frattoni. She says, "Good morning, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving." And then we also have Patty Langston says, hello, Deborah. And then we have Santa Isaac. He says, very impressive. Ladies. And then Ruth, she didn't put anything, but she's here. And then we have Renata Mazur says, it's great to see you, wonderful ladies. And then we have LaShonda Milner says, speak the truth. So we want to thank everyone that's watching, because we can't do this without our listeners and participating with us. So I just want to take a moment to thank them for that.
Awesome.
Thanks, Christine. Can I talk about the noise thing for a minute?
Sure.
Yes.
So, after some epic fails in the early spring, we figured out in our family that on Sunday night we got out the calendar and wrote down who was doing what. My husband's a college professor and he has to be online all the time. So I was constantly getting kicked off of Zoom. And especially if you are a presenter. I mean, it's annoying when you're a participant, but when you're a presenter, you cannot take that chance. So we did the calendar together and figured out the windows of like who got the online time when and what the priorities were. And then who's going to be in charge of the dog, because I have a yippy dog. And then I figured out I had to put a sign on the front door that said, don't knock, don't ring, just leave the package. Because as soon as somebody knocks on the door, the dog goes crazy. And, yes, it does happen to all of us all the time. But if you can plan ahead to avoid some of those things, I think it's really helpful. So you got to work with your family as a team. I know some of you are home. You're trying to work online. You're trying to teach your kids online. You're trying to manage your kids. You're trying to make meals. It's a lot. It's just an unspeakable lot. But the planning goes huge into it. Exactly. If you all work together as a team, you'll probably feel less anxious when you get on a meeting like this, because to the best of your ability, you have the other things under control.
Yeah. Great advice.
And we really are at the mercy of our internet service a little bit too. I mean, and so what I found is wireless can be very spotty, but we have broadband at my house and at my office. And so I haven't done it yet, but I'm trying to get there's a converter that you can actually get that broadband hardwired internet into your computer, and then you don't have the dropping off quite as much.
Yeah, that's what I have. I have mine directly connected.
Did you have to do that too, Kathryn? Do something with your internet?
I'm trying. I'm in the process of communicating with my provider about that, and we don't seem to be communicating clearly with each other. So it's a work in progress, but I recognize that it absolutely needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I'm not a tech person, so me trying to understand them and them trying to understand me. And they were telling me, oh, you just need to run this Ethernet cable. I'm like, that's going to go through my whole Jack and Jill bathroom and across the office floor. That's not going to work for me. I might actually have to move my office.
Right. Well, and the thing is, like, my laptop doesn't have an Ethernet connection. So that's why I have to get something that converts to Ethernet to HDMI or something that I can plug into my computer. So, I mean, this tech stuff is really, if you're not tech savvy, I mean, it's very confusing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why it's so important to simplify down to the nuggets, what are important, because you can create a simple makeup program for yourself that works every time. You can create a simple space. It doesn't have to be big and fancy, but a simple space. The tech is a big thing. I mean, my camera keeps autofocusing and then the light changes. So it's something I have to deal with. So I got that clicker on my ring light to go up and down as it just shifts if I, scratch my nose. So I think that if we can look at the things that are completely under our control that we can do simply, that we do have a lot of control, more than we think sometimes, even if we're just in a tiny spot. But then the things that we don't have control over, or we don't know with tech, there are a lot of people who do know that in our world. And I think we could go to them for help. I mean, there are people who will help just plain, and they're experts who do it for fee. And we have people in our circles everywhere who can help with that technology. I think we should just make use of it and not think we should know it and be like professional women who think they have to know and do everything themselves.
And actually, that's an absolutely awesome example of what people we would love to see. I mean, like, if people have questions like that, that's what a group like Tru Networking is about. I think, like, when you're running into an issue with your networking, be it live or virtual. And, we have, I mean, already we've only had the group open for only 2 weeks, and we have almost 200 members in the group already. We've got some pretty smart cookies in there. So I would say to, use it as a resource. That's what our vision for Tru Networking really is.
Yeah. And I want to go back to Deborah Fawaz for a second about etiquette. We had this conversation last time, and Deborah Daniel, remember this one, is about etiquettes. And for etiquettes, for me, being on time and being, where you need to be, if you register for a workshop, be there. But what do you think about the etiquette part of people being on time?
Absolutely. So let's talk about being on time and then how people receive you and how your attitude looks. So all of us at some point, whether we're driving in person to a luncheon or whatever, stuff happens. We're occasionally late. First of all, if you're late to an online meeting, don't bring attention to yourself, right? Don't pop on there and be like, hey, so sorry, the dog and blah, blah, blah. No one cares, okay? You're late. The other people were able to work their life out and be there on time. When I'm on a Zoom meeting, I either have a headshot of myself or my logo. So I sign on 5 to 10 minutes early and make sure that my lighting's working, my microphone is working. I was on a meeting this morning. I had no mic. I had to end up shutting down my computer and rebooting it, and it worked. You don't know how the technology is going to be in that moment. So if you have a 12 o'clock meeting, do not sign on at 12 o'clock. First of all, it takes usually a minute for that to get live, right? So now you're late, even though your butt might have been in the chair at 12. So if you're going to be late, just come on quietly and don't offer an excuse. It's kind of like that thing about drawing extra attention to yourself. Like if you say to a 2-year-old, don't touch that, what do they hear? Let's touch that.
Yeah.
Right? So if you say, my dogs and kids are really annoying today, you have now told people's brains to pay attention to your background noise. Just let it go. If you're late, you're late. Just leave it alone. Move on.
Yeah, and for me, I see in this Zoom, the Zoom has changed that a little bit, where when you're going to a meeting, you can walk in there at minute 2 or 12 and be on time. But now you have all this, going back to the technical part, you have all this technical stuff that you got to assure that's working prior to the meeting.
Right. So I sign on early and then make sure everything's working, and then I might put my headshot or my logo on and go take the dog out one more time or refill my water. But I know everything's working. And we don't want to see you get up and down out of your chair and turn around and stick your behind to the kid. Look at you.
I mean, I've seen people go and make lunch and then lean over the counter and eat lunch, and they're like doing their steps, and I'm like, and then their husband's watching TV and talking loud in the other room, and I'm like, I will never, ever go to you for anything, ever.
Yeah.
What were you wanting to add to that, Kathryn?
What I've tried to get to do is to build in a virtual commute time for myself, to Deborah's point.
Oh, I like that.
For me, I like to do a little bit of warm-ups and breathing exercises before I get onto a meeting, so that if I do have a chance to speak, my voice is ready. So for me, I get up there early. To Deborah's point, I'm in my office. I'm ready to sign on. I'm using that time off camera when I'm on mute to do my voice exercises, do my breathing exercises, make sure I have my water, make sure my phone is plugged in, adjusting my microphone, and all those things, so that I'm ready to go when the meeting is on. And I like to show up early, because that's a lot of times the chance you get for sort of free networking time and chatting and making connections. And if you're showing up at 12 on the dot for a 12 o'clock meeting, you're going to miss that. And that's where the real icing is on the cake for me. And can we talk about multitasking during a meeting? If you don't have time to go to the meeting, just prioritize what you have time for and really put yourself into it, because you're not going to get a chance to put yourself forth and speak or be respected if people can see during the entire meeting that you're looking down at your phone, you're doing this, and you're getting up and down. No one who's running a meeting wants to call on you, because you're a wild card, because they don't know if you're listening. And communication is a two-way street. If people don't feel like you're listening, you're not going to get a chance to be heard.
That is so true.
Yeah, that's
a mute button and a stop video button for a reason. So, if you're not talking, mute unless it's a kind of a, round robin. But if you're getting up and going and doing stuff, please take yourself off video and go do it and come back. I don't see your spinning chair, but also I think it's habit, because we're sitting in a place where we do work now, and we're not getting up and going to the meeting. So we're sitting in a place where we multitask. It's really hard for people to stop.
It is.
Because it's habit. It's a location habit.
Right.
Yes.
What about this?
Oh, that drives me crazy.
Unless your job is teaching people how to lean over relaxedly and look every second like you're having happy hour with girlfriends, that is not on brand for anybody.
Yes.
Unless you're looking like someone who really doesn't care, unless that's your brand, that's not a look for you. That whole.
I love that demonstration because I feel it so much. Because when you're showing up to these, what you're showing up to is a business person. You've got to think of it as you're going there in person. They're still seeing you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to be just like we're across the conference table from each other or sitting across the table at lunch. You would not do that in person. And if you did, somebody would probably backhand you like.
Exactly. Could you imagine?
And some of this stuff, when you're talking virtually especially, can be more subtle. Whether it's your posture is just making you look and feel disengaged. Well, when you feel disengaged, you're not going to speak in a way that's engaging. You're not going to be looking at your camera in a way that's engaging other participants. And people don't always identify when it's something more subtle, why they're not resonating or vibing with you. They just know they're not interested. When it's really obvious, they'll know why. But when it's more subtle, those are the things we have to watch, because people are getting those subliminal impressions and they don't even realize they've made the judgment, but they're just turned off.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true.
Right, exactly. For that reason, getting the no, I mean, when you ask them to work with you or go further along with you, and you don't even really realize what you did.
Yeah, absolutely. But I want to take the time again real quick to thank our listeners again, because, you know, it's all about our listeners, and without our listeners, we wouldn't have a show. So I've got to look again in our group, because it's coming up again, a Facebook user. Maria says, thanks for a great conversation. And someone's here, and she's saying, great tips. Someone said great tips. Oh, that come from LaShonda Milner. Great tips. So
Awesome.
Thank you, ladies, for watching. Yes.
Thank you. Well, Christine, do you think it's time for us to go to our rapid fire round?
Yes, I can't wait for this one. It's exciting.
This is kind of fun. So we're gonna. I just pulled out some. This is just kind of fun to be not so businessy, but I'm just gonna give you guys each a either or kind of question, and you could just let's see. Should we let each person go or just let them shout it out? I mean, what do you think, Christine?
Let's let each person go.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's funner.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. It might be a little bit too crazy with 5 of us saying it. Okay. So I'm going to give you an either or question, and you just answer which one you like better. Okay. Just to get a little feel for your personality and stuff. So texting or talking, and we'll start with, why don't we just go in the same order? We'll go Kathryn, Jennifer, Deborah, Christine, and then I'll go. Okay. For each one. So texting or talking, in other words, how do you want to communicate with people? Guess it kind of depends, but
I like to talk, but there are times it's easier to text.
Exactly. What do you think, Jennifer?
I love to talk, as people know about me, but to get immediate attention and to get a note off quickly, text is a miracle. Not to avoid conversation.
Well, there's all kinds of stats that people will respond. Like 98% of people respond to a text, and like only half the people actually answer the phone.
Right.
What about you,
Text
Deborah?
for most things.
Yeah.
Talking is my preference, but if you ignore me, then I'll text you.
For that 98% open rate, right?
For me, texting.
For me, I didn't like it at first, but texting, I mean, I got into it because my kids were always texting me.
Yep.
Now, when it starts being more than 2 or 3 bubbles back and forth, I'm like, get on the phone and call me.
Right.
Very true.
Exactly. This is one of my favorites, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee. Although I'm drinking tea right now, oddly. Hey, everybody. Hello, gorgeous.
What about you, Christine? Coffee or tea?
Tea.
I'm a coffee.
Yeah.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Beach, right next to the mountains.
Okay.
Mountains.
I'm a beach person. Okay, this is a fun one. Actually, I'm going to stop that one. Do we have time for this one, Christine?
Yeah.
What one quick little tidbit would you give to your beginning entrepreneur self that you wish you would have known?
Kathryn.
I've got mine. Are we going in order? Go, Kathryn. Okay.
You don't have to do everything perfectly, but just be honest about what you know and don't know.
Exactly.
I would say that we don't always imagine that something's going to really, really grow, even though we just start. Pay attention to the foundations of your business, or it'll be hard to grow and be really hard to just backfill all that stuff you didn't build in the first place.
Awesome.
Mission, all those things.
Deborah, what do you think?
Take the risk. Don't wait to be perfect or think you have it all figured out. Just take the risk and put yourself out there over and over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
I mean, it's stop worrying and stressing over the little things. It will be okay.
I think we've got a little theme kind of going here, but I would say done is better than perfect, because you can overthink things. It's kind of the fail forward thing. It's what everybody's touched on a couple of times here. Just start doing it. I mean, just like even the first time you give somebody your price, it like your tongue feels like it's like so huge in your mouth that you're like, I can't even make my tongue do it. But every time you say it, it's just a little bit easier, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
With this Nike, just do it.
You just have to say it with confidence in your voice.
There you go, Kathryn.
Exactly.
You'll convince yourself of it when you say it confidently.
Absolutely.
If you don't believe it, no one's going to believe it, right?
You can be self-deprecating. I mean, I one time was I was a speaker at this big conference, and first thing that happened, I got up there, I tripped, and I snorted right into the microphone. That was the first sound out of my face in front of a couple hundred people. I just cracked up because I don't mind. Everyone's laughing. They're not. If I laugh, we're all laughing. I think be a little self-deprecating, and people will relate to you and your little foibles.
Yeah, be yourself. Be yourself and stop pretending to be someone that you're not.
Right.
So, ladies, before we go, we're going to close. But before we go, what we want to know is, do you have a free offer, and how they can contact you with that free offer? So we'll go ahead and go in order again with Kathryn.
Kathryn, you've just been first the whole time.
That's a shy girl.
I actually have vocal warm-ups that I use that are on my website. You can go, if you sign up for my mailing list, you can go and get the vocal warm-up freebie. And you can also sign up for a strategy session with me while you're on there. But the vocal warm-ups are great. They're what I use. I've curated them. They're amazing. And I would love to hear about what your favorites are. My website is Confident Communications with an S .net, not .com.
Okay,
Awesome.
I have a question. Can you demonstrate one tip?
So what I love to do to relax my voice and my throat before I speak is yawn.
Oh, interesting.
That kind of loosens things up.
Yes, it stretches out the chambers in your throat where you resonate the sound. So instead of sounding squeaky and tight, like you're squealing and high pitched, it's an open chamber. Think about musical instruments and sort of the physics of all that. You don't want it tight and constricted. You want it open and relaxed.
Love it, love it, love it.
Great tip, Kathryn.
That is great. Jennifer?
I have a couple of free downloads on my website. One is this absolutely gorgeous 23-page thing about women in their closets and 3 simple steps to create the closet you love, because it should not be a room of shame. It should be your superwoman phone booth of powerful superpower awesomeness. And that is one of my downloads. And another is a 30-day declutter checklist. You can do it as a challenge with friends. It's awesome. And I also have a free phone call with me, whether you want to talk about Zoom, you want to talk about your whole environment, my virtual, my online programs, my limited in-person programs, and my Zoom. All of those, I'm here for you. JenniferPhelps.org, like organized. Can we put them in the chat, our websites?
Yes, when we get off, you can go back in there and just put, your website and what you're free offer. Absolutely.
JenniferPhelps.org, like organized.
I love it. So we asked Kathryn, so give us one quick tip before we go of what people can do right now to declutter one thing out of their closet.
If you just go around your house with a trash can and throw away everything that is clearly garbage, that'll be one thing. the broken things. Just get rid of them unless you're going to fix them. But if you just go around and you do that, but my favorite tip, though, that's an instant declutter, the give it basket. It should be in your closet or somewhere in your house. It looks like a laundry basket. Or it is a permanent thing. It's not a plastic bag, a flippy floppy paper bag. It is your donation bag. So when you put on that blouse, you put it on and take it off all the time, don't actually wear it. You realize you're not wearing it ever because it doesn't fit right. Instead of hanging it up and then spending a whole weekend sometime, which you actually will never spend doing your closet, just put it in.
I love that.
Basket, and then when it's full, it's called a give it basket. What are you going to do with it?
Give it away.
Contents to something. So the give it back universal.
Love that. All right, Deborah?
Yes, so my website is ddfacesbydeborah.com, all lowercase, and I'm offering a complimentary consultation of your physical presence online. And so in that call, we can talk about any of the things that we talked about today or a few more that we didn't. And if you sign up for that call, I will give you a bonus, which is a 5-minute, get ready for your Zoom call in 5 minutes. 5-minute makeup. What are the basics that you need to be your best on Zoom? So it's a 2-for-1. ddfacesbydeborah.com.
I love that. Do you have a tip that you can share with us real quick?
Yeah, let's talk about your clothing. Jennifer talked about the background being distracting, and we talked about noise being distracting. But if you've got this big, wild floral print on that you bought in San Juan that you just love, people are like looking at that. Yeah, I like small prints, plain colors, and avoid black and white.
Avoid black and white. Interesting. Because I like black. I know my image consultant with this on the listening. I know she's like, Christine, it's green and royal blue. Christine, it's green and royal blue.
I mean, Deborah and I are wearing the same color.
We got navy on.
Right.
I have a green
So
shirt.
I'm curious, why not black?
Yes, me too.
Solid black sometimes looks really harsh online, and it can really wash you out, especially if you don't have the right makeup and the right lighting. So navy is the new black. Can't go wrong.
Interesting. Deborah, you have anything else you want to ask before we close?
No, well, I think we really have covered this. This is so amazing. And always, I mean, I guess the biggest thing is thanking everyone for being here today, and, encouraging everyone that if you're just a first-time listener to check out our group on Facebook. We also have the show will be on. It's going to be out on our YouTube channel too, right, Christine?
Yes, it's streaming live right now on our YouTube, so it's on our YouTube also.
Awesome. I mean, and the thing is, we are looking for guests. For the show, and we're probably going to put a little bit more of a process into that. But if you've got a great idea for a show, just post it in the group. We'll be glad to take a look at it and put a show together of something that you're looking for at Tru Networking. That's our Facebook page. Facebook group, and. Really appreciate you ladies taking the time out of your day to share some tips in our new reality, our new little Brady Bunch squares.
Yes. Oh, did we do good with that? That if someone was supposed to say that about the Brady Bunch squares, did we do okay with that?
Right. Yeah, I think so. I think we were covering that. I think we did. I think we gave a lot of golden nuggets out for people. I think there's a lot of value in bringing. I'm a big proponent of that group think. When we signed up to be in business for ourselves, whenever it was 30 years ago for me, multiple, all of you guys have been in business for a long time. We didn't really realize we were signing up to be by ourselves quite so much.
Right.
And it just, it can be kind of lonely. And I know I'm living for these Zoom calls because I do miss that belly to belly, face to face live networking. And so if we can make this virtual world, as pleasant as possible. And I don't think it's going to go away. I think it's actually going to be the icing on the cake once we get back to live events. I don't think we'll ever leave those behind. I pray we never leave those behind. Because like Deborah said earlier, there's no hugging and all that kind of stuff. But when we can start hugging people again and being in the same room, I think this is just going to put our networking and our training and all the things that we're doing on steroids, because we basically erased the borders, right? I mean, so now we can do our live networking, locally. We can go to big conferences, but we can stay connected with those people that we meet around the country through this online platform. So I do think it's going to be like a great add-on, but it's hopefully never going to be the only way that we communicate with people.
Absolutely. Again, thank you, ladies, so much for joining us, and we'll have you back as a guest again, next year. So we're looking forward to that. If you want to come, you may not want to come, but I love chatting with all of you. And again, as Deborah said, go to our social media at trunetworking.com. That's on our Facebook. We have a Facebook group, YouTube, and also Instagram. So go on those, like it, subscribe it, share it, and thank you again for watching.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you too.
Happy Thanksgiving.